Hello once again then folks, and welcome to already the last day of all 10 of the special projects builds that I'm doing in the car pack number 1, if you will, that I wanted to release for the community. The response overall has been very good. Those of you who've tried the tunes have, at least for the most part from what I've seen, really enjoyed them. So since the response has been so positive, if you guys would like me to do this again next month, I definitely have enough builds to bring back more. I've actually already planned a pack for next month as well, and even 3 or 4 more after that if you continue to enjoy them. So absolutely, tell me if you did enjoy it and if you would like to have more, and even suggestions of course are always welcome. Now though, we are moving on to something of a hybrid build. This is of course the Clio Trophy race car. For those who played the older Gran Turismo games as recently as GT6, you will doubtless remember the car, more of a lower level touring car, but a deceptively quick one. Now this build is fairly simple, but also it has, as you can see, quite a high point level. 623 is pretty high for a vehicle that doesn't even have 300 horsepower, so it gives you an idea of how quick this could be, if nothing else through corners. So as far as the actual parts, you don't have to do too much to it. Stage 1 weight, then as far as the club sports section, I would recommend the high lift cams. Then we've got stage 2 weight, not too surprisingly, the power restrictor, the ballast. For the semi-racing stuff, you want your racing crank, the fully customised computer, the fully customised diff, or LSD as they call it, the limited slip diff, stage 3 weight as well. You could go for the body rigidity, again I'll leave that down to you. As far as the racing stuff, we've gone for the filter, the silencer, either slotted or drilled discs, it doesn't make any difference. Again, you could go for ceramics if you want to even, and racing pads of course, and our racing manifold. Then suspension is also fully customised, the clutch and flywheel are also race spec, fully customised transmission as well. There is no stage 4 weight, at least not that you can purchase, and racing hard tyres also. Then for the extreme section, I haven't done anything there at all. So as I said, relatively simple, not too expensive of a tune setup. You will want to fit, at least if you want to go for the visuals that I've got here, the wide body kit. Now there are a couple of different Clio trophies on the community that look like the one in the older games. There's actually at least one other one which is more accurate, but that one, despite being accurate, was not quite as interesting to look at anymore, because it was quite a basic looking car back then, but we just didn't really notice as much because of the graphics. So I've opted to go for this one, which as I said is a bit more of a hybrid. It looks like that older trophy, but it also has a few more decals. It's got a little bit more flair. With that in mind though, this is a design which I have made some changes to, because the person who made it had stuff like the extra rear wing. So if I recall correctly, I don't remember if they had, in fact they did. They also fitted the side skirt. Now as you can see, they put a lot of work into putting the decals on there as well. So you could leave that side skirt there if you wanted to, but again I wanted it to look a little bit more simplified, somewhere between what they've done and the older Gran Turismo car. So again, it's down to personal preference. Likewise with the bumper, they went for, I believe it was this one. You've also got this more aggressive one if you wanted to go for it. So again, you've got choices, and they did fit this wing. So I opted to remove that one, because again, that's much closer to the older car. Overall though, it is this player that you can see on screen of course, and in addition to finding it with their name, you can actually just click the link right below in the video description. This was suggested to me on one of the first videos and it was a great suggestion. Instead of using tags, just jump down to the description, you can click on the website version or from your phone and literally just add it straight to your library in the game. So it's a super easy way of doing that. Now though, to jump back into the garage, we'll go to the tuning section, the nitty-gritty stuff. For those curious, why are we running this particular power and weight? Put simply, those are just the specs that it had in the older games. 296 horsepower, 1149 kilos. So that's the answer to that. We've got our racing hards fitted, of course. For the suspension, 95mm front and back, so not quite slammed, but pretty low for a Clio. 5 on anti-roll, 30 for the compression, not quite as high as you might think, 40 for the rebound, or expansion as they call it. Frequency again, not crazy high, 2.5 front and back, 2 degrees of camber, 0.20 toe in on the rear, then 0.15 toe out on the front, of course, for stability. Like I always say, of course, if you know your own diff settings, especially when it comes to something like the Clio is kind of like the hot hatch equivalent of a Chaparral 2J. It's almost like driving a box, mid-engine layout, rear-wheel drive, so it does have handling which won't suit everyone anyway, but I've gone for 20, 60 and 30, and I personally find that to be a very nice setup to work with, especially on racing tyres. If you lower them to sports tyres, I can't say then, but at least for what we're doing here, the ratios are relatively close, only 270 kilometres, because the car back in the older games wasn't the quickest thing around for top speed anyway. As far as the ballast, you want 108 kilos. I would recommend having that all the way to the front, which gives you just that bit more stability over the front end because it is a bit twitchy with that short wheelbase and the wide track. Power restrictor is untouched. ECU output is untouched. I have actually got the front downforce on nothing. Might seem like a strange choice, and you could put that up if you wanted to, but I wanted this tune to feel like it relied more on the suspension and the diff, rather than just downforce. So again, there's nothing wrong at all with turning that up, and your point level will go up as well. And then as far as the parts, you can see what we fitted: racing cleaner, silencer, manifold, discs, pads, and of course the clutch and flywheel, with these down here as well, that I already showed you. So as I said, very simple tune. This is not a setup which is necessarily going to be the most useful thing in career mode, because the points are so high that this is much more of a novelty build. This is like a nostalgia tune for those of us who used to play the older games, just to jump in and get that kind of feeling that the old Clio had. So speaking of the feel, let's take it out to the track and see what it can actually do. So this particular car, as I said, has at the very least the potential to be an absolute cornering missile, and it is. I was expecting it to be a car that I'd have to do a lot of fettling with to stop it from being too twitchy or having too much oversteer and just stepping its tail out all the time. It really doesn't. Now, if you push it super hard, you can definitely get the tail out, but it handles so much better than I was expecting it to, and I think it's partially because of the improved weight distribution, partially because of course, the fantastic racing tyres, and partially because it doesn't have a huge amount of power to work with. Less than 300 horses is perfect for this kind of platform. So like I said, if you do want to use it for racing, you could restrict the power or alter the weight, whatever you want to do, change the tyres of course. But if you do just want to get a bit of a member berry moment to the older games, give it a run like this and see what you think. So of course, give the creator of the design some love. And of course, with only one build left coming out later today at midnight, of course I hope you guys have enjoyed the series. But for now, that's it for this build. I'll see you next time, and well, as always, thanks for watching.